Max Verstappen's reaction to Liam Lawson's abrupt removal from Red Bull did not arrive as a moment of emotional outrage, but as a measured and deeply unsettling critique of how modern Formula One teams handle young drivers under extreme pressure. What made his statement so striking was not its tone, but its clarity. Verstappen did not hide behind diplomatic language. He made it clear that, in his view, Red Bull's decision crossed a line from performance management into something that risks permanently damaging a driver's career. Lawson's promotion to Red Bull for the 2025 season was framed internally as a long-term investment. Christian Horner openly stated that the team believed Lawson's trajectory offered more potential than the alternatives, which is why he was chosen over Yuki Tsunoda. That context is essential because it shows that Lawson was not treated as a short-term stopgap, but as a strategic choice. Yet that narrative collapsed after just 2 race weekends. Being dropped after 2 Grand Prix without escaping Q1 and 3 qualifying attempts became the defining statistic used to justify his demotion. Verstappen's criticism focuses precisely on that time frame. 2 races in a car known to be extremely sensitive to setup and driving style are not a meaningful sample. For Verstappen, this was not about defending Lawson's results, but about questioning the fairness of the evaluation process itself. His public reaction began subtly but unmistakably when he liked a post from former F1 driver Guido van der Garde, describing the decision as close to bullying. When asked directly about it in Japan, Verstappen did not retreat. He confirmed that the sentiment reflected his own view, stating plainly that liking the comment speaks for itself. In modern Formula One, where drivers are acutely aware of messaging, that was a deliberate signal. Verstappen later expanded on this position, explaining that such decisions can ruin someone's chances with the top team. That statement goes far beyond Lawson. It is a systemic critique of how opportunities are granted and withdrawn. In Verstappen's view, once a driver is labeled as having failed at a top team, that reputation often follows them regardless of context, talent, or recovery elsewhere. What strengthens Verstappen's argument is what happened next. Red Bull replaced Lawson with Yuki Tsunoda, yet the team's performance did not materially improve. Tsunoda scored just 30 points across the season, finishing hundreds of points behind Verstappen. The intended solution did not solve the underlying issue that Verstappen had hinted at all along. The second Red Bull seat is exceptionally difficult to exploit. Lawson's response after returning to Racing Bulls further complicates Red Bull's justification. After an initial adjustment period, he stabilized, scored 38 points, and delivered a career-best 5th place in Azerbaijan, beating Tsunoda on merit. That rebound supports Verstappen's belief that Lawson was not incapable, but underprepared and underprotected during his brief Red Bull stint. Verstappen acknowledged this recovery explicitly, noting that Lawson could easily have lost motivation after such a setback, but instead rebuilt his confidence. This is an important detail. Verstappen is not arguing from sympathy, but from competitive logic. A driver who can recover that way, in his view, deserved more than 2 weekends to adapt. The core of Verstappen's argument consistently returns to the same point: the Red Bull car itself. According to him, the current design philosophy is not neutral. It is highly specialized and deeply aligned with his own driving preferences. Verstappen has explained that teammates are often encouraged, implicitly or explicitly, to converge toward his setup. Yet this approach rarely produces the intended results. A Formula One car operates within extremely narrow operating windows, and small differences in balance preference can fundamentally alter a driver's confidence. Verstappen himself prefers a car with more understeer than Yuki Tsunoda, and that single characteristic can determine whether a driver feels in control or permanently on the edge. In such an environment, copying setups is not optimization, it is compromise. This is where Verstappen's criticism becomes particularly uncomfortable for Red Bull's internal narrative. If a car is inherently tailored around one driver's feedback loop, then expecting others to perform immediately under identical conditions becomes questionable. Lawson's situation exemplifies this problem. He did not simply move teams. He lost an entire winter development cycle when he was switched between cars mid-season. In modern Formula One, winter preparation is not a luxury. It is the foundation upon which an entire season is built. Losing that phase meant Lawson was not developing performance, but merely reacting to circumstances from the outset. What makes Verstappen's intervention particularly striking is the absence of self-interest. He gains nothing from publicly questioning Red Bull's handling of the situation. On the contrary, Doing so challenges a convenient internal explanation that frames the second seat as a recurring driver problem. By speaking out, Verstappen redirects attention towards structural factors, car philosophy, preparation time, and unrealistic performance timeline. That shift undermines the notion that instability is solely down to individual shortcomings. Lawson's retention at Racing Bulls for 2026, alongside rookie Arvid Lindblad, further complicates the picture. It indicates that Red Bull still recognizes Lawson's underlying value, yet the reputational damage caused by his brief Red Bull stint cannot simply be undone. Verstappen's warning is blunt but accurate. Once a driver is publicly labeled as having failed at the top level, the opportunity to return is often lost, regardless of subsequent performance or improvement. This situation also reframes how Verstappen's own dominance should be interpreted. His success is frequently used as the benchmark against which teammates are judged, yet his comments acknowledge that matching his performance is not simply a matter of talent. It requires compatibility with the car, sufficient preparation time, and psychological stability.